Imagine this. The room is empty. The voices that once filled it have faded. The footsteps that once echoed beside you have drifted away. And all that's left is the sound of your own breathing. It's just you now, alone. At first, it hits like a punch to the gut. Your chest tightens, your mind races, and a voice inside screams, "This isn't how it's supposed to be." You reach for your phone, scroll through names, craving the buzz of a notification, anything to pull you out of this quiet abyss. But what if you didn't? What if, instead of running from the silence, you turned toward it? What if being alone isn't the end of something, but the beginning of everything? We've been taught to fear solitude, to see it as a crack in the foundation of a good life. Society paints it as a punishment. You're alone because you failed, because you're not enough. But that's a lie, and deep down, you know it. Being alone isn't a curse, it's a crucible. It's the fire that burns away the fake and forges something unbreakable. When the world falls away, when the crowd scatters and the spotlight dims, you're left with the one person who's been with you all along, yourself. And in that raw, unfiltered space, a revolution begins, a quiet, earth-shaking uprising of your soul. Let's be real. The first steps into solitude sting. Your ego, that loud, needy part of you, hates it. It's like a child throwing a tantrum, banging on the walls, demanding attention, validation, the roar of the crowd. It tells you that you're lost without others, that you're nothing if no one's watching. Why am I here? It whines. Why does everyone else get to laugh and love while I'm stuck in this void? It twists your loneliness into a weapon, stabbing you with self-doubt, convincing you the universe has turned its back on you. But here's the truth it doesn't want you to see. That voice isn't you. It's just noise. And when you push past it, when you sit in the stillness long enough, something shifts. The void stops feeling like a prison and starts feeling like a palace. A vast, sacred space where you're free to be exactly who you are. Picture this. You're standing on a cliff at dusk. The wind is cold, the sky bruised purple, and there's no one else for miles. At first you feel small, exposed, swallowed by the emptiness. But then you breathe. You notice the way the air fills your lungs, the way the horizon stretches out like it's whispering your name. And suddenly you realize this moment, this wild, solitary moment, belongs to you alone. No one's here to judge, to shape you, to pull you into their story. It's just you and the infinite expanse of your own being. And in that expanse, you find a strength you didn't know you had. A strength that doesn't need applause to stand tall. Solitude is a mirror, but not the kind that flatters. It's the kind that strips you bare, revealing every scar, every fear, every dream you've buried beneath layers of noise. It's terrifying to really look at yourself without the buffer of others. But this is where the magic happens. Alone, you start asking the questions that cut deep. Who am I when the masks fall away? What do I want when no one is telling me what to want? What's holding me back from the life I've always felt calling me? These aren't easy questions. The answers come slowly, sometimes wrapped in tears, sometimes sharp enough to draw blood. But they are yours. And with every answer, you peel back another layer, shedding the weight of who you thought you had to be. The poet Rumi once said, "Beyond ideas of wrongdoing and right-doing, there is a field. I'll meet you there." Solitude is that field, a place beyond rules, beyond noise, where you meet yourself not as a role or a title, but as a soul. It's where you learn to love the sound of your own laughter, the weight of your own silence, the rhythm of your own heart. It's where you stop apologizing for taking up space and start claiming it. This isn't about cutting yourself off from the world. It's about finding your place in it. Not as a shadow of someone else, but as a light of your own. Think of being alone as a storm at sea. The waves crash, the sky splits open, and you're out there in a tiny boat clinging to the oars. At first, it's chaos. Your ego howling, your fears clawing at the hull. You want to row back to shore, to the safety of voices and hands to hold? But what if you stopped fighting the storm? What if you let the wind carry you instead? Because out there in the wild heart of it, you discover something. You're stronger than you thought. You don't need the shore to survive. You are the shore. The storm doesn't break you, it builds you. And when the clouds part, when the water stills, you're not the same person who set sail. You're weathered, yes, but you are alive. Fiercely, undeniably alive. Science backs this up. Studies show that solitude can rewire your brain, calm your nerves, sharpen your focus. But you don't need a lab to tell you what your bones already know. You feel it in the way your shoulders drop, in the way your thoughts untangle, in the way you start to trust yourself again. Alone, you become your own compass, your own captain. You learn to navigate not by the stars others point to, but by the ones you see in your own sky. And that's power, not the loud, flashy kind, but the quiet, steady kind that no one can take away. Here's the part we don't talk about enough. Solitude isn't always pretty. Some days it's a weight you can't shake. You'll sit in the dark, staring at the ceiling, wondering if you'll ever feel connected again. You'll miss the warmth of a hand on your shoulder, the hum of a shared laugh. You'll cry, not because you're weak, but because you're human. And that's okay. Let it hurt. Let it hollow you out. Because in that hollow space, something new begins to grow. Like a seed cracking open in the dirt, your pain is the birthplace of your strength. You don't have to run from it, you just have to trust it. Imagine you're a lighthouse on a jagged coast. The waves pound, the fog rolls in, and there's no one else to tend the flame. At first, it feels lonely, standing there in the dark. But then you realize you're not just surviving, you're shining. You're guiding yourself through the night. And one day, when the ships return, when the voices drift back, they'll see your light. Not as a cry for help, but as a beacon of something unshakable. That's what solitude does. It turns you into a force, a presence, a power that doesn't bend to the wind. The world will try to pull you back. It'll dangle distractions, parties, likes, fleeting fixes, promising they'll fill the gap. But you'll feel the difference now. You'll notice how empty those things taste compared to the fullness you've found alone. Because once you've stood in your own silence, once you've held your own hand through the dark, you don't need the crowd to feel whole. You'll connect again. Oh, you will, but it will be different. You'll bring a strength to every handshake, a depth to every conversation, a love that doesn't cling but lifts. You'll give not because you're empty, but because you're overflowing. Years from now, you'll look back on this time, these quiet, solitary days, and you'll see them for what they were. A revolution. Not with banners or battle cries, but with whispers and wonder. You'll trace the scars solitude left behind, the resilience in your spine, the fire in your eyes, and you'll smile. Because being alone didn't dim you, it lit you up. It didn't shrink you. It stretched you wide enough to hold the stars. This is your story now, a tale of a soul that dared to stand alone and found a power no crowd could ever give. So if you're alone tonight, don't turn away. Step into it. Open the windows of your heart. Let the silence rush in and listen. Ask the hard questions. Dance with your shadows. Cry if you need to. Laugh when you can. This is your rebellion, your awakening, your chance to rewrite the rules of what strength really means. The world can wait. Right now, it's just you and the infinite possibility of who you're becoming. Embrace it. Revel in it. Because in the quiet of being alone, you're not lost. You're found. If this speaks to you, if it stirs something deep, if it lifts you where you dream, don't keep it to yourself. Share it with someone who's standing on their own cliff, staring at their own dusk. Hit that like button, subscribe for more, and let's walk this wild, beautiful path together, even when we're apart. Until next time, keep shining. You've got this.